This house utter confusion, chaos.
Not
People
in
coming.
entire forgetfulness and not in utter nakedness.
Will your excellency be good enough to utter them?
Well, sir, not the way they're doing it. It's utter chaos, as you can see at a glance.
Drive them into utter submission!
Years of your life are utterly spent.
You're mad. Utterly mad.
They know that a war would leave the Soviet Union.
Is that utterly incomprehensible to you?
Yes, it is.
Here. This house utter confusion, chaos. People coming and going, you can't find anything.
Not in entire forgetfulness and not in utter nakedness. A trailing cloud line.
Indeed. And will your excellency be good enough to utter them? Cowardice and treachery.
Would you use the men?
Well, sir, not the way they're doing it. It's utter chaos, as you can see at a glance.
Spies! Drive them into utter submission! Do not show the slightest pity!
Until all the world is changed and the long years of your life are utterly spent.
Passport or some counterfeit money or... You're mad. Utterly mad. I suppose you want to kiss me goodnight.
Why don't you? If the Soviet Union is left reasonably intact, they know that a war would leave the Soviet Union utterly destroyed. Therefore, they would surrender.
I expect you to behave as a wife. Is that utterly incomprehensible to you?
Yes, it is. Utterly. What is that? A what?
Delighted to return hospitality, Mr. Lockwood.
Very good, old boy. Utterly convincing.
Thank you.
Can't talk to her. What we feel isn't important. It's utterly unimportant. The only question is what we do.
It is utterly inappropriate for me to talk to him.
You know, when you utter profanity in public like that, you risk others thinking that you're too
You have to expect a certain measure of deviation.
A measure? A measure? What about total, complete, utter failure?
Gentlemen, I think it's time we face...
If you lecture them, they won't think you respect them. If you treat them with utter humility, they will. And remember, this is about...
A very depressing one. Nobody particularly cared to hear his life was utterly valueless.
Lou.
By the end of the first week in June...
Miss Laney, would you describe your job as worthless or utterly pointless?
I replace the lid. Take up my wand and I utter the magic words. Landfire whisking is Golgera.
Development was delayed, and I did not utter a word until she was 11 years old.
As you can see from this page, there are broken down joints and utter disconnection.
Chips and salsa.
I saw him up here on the hill by himself, utterly free.
You are blessed.
But the idea had been spoken, and the words wouldn't go back after they'd been uttered aloud.
So you're understanding this, right?
I'm tired. But the fellas coming up behind me are utterly without principle of any kind. And you see how you like dealing with them.
This is a happening. There are handshakes, and of course, there are utterly beautiful women. But behind the smiles and behind the
as stipulated by the courts. And of course, your complete and utter unwillingness to consider the best needs of the child.
Factory's entire shrimping industry has fallen victim to Carmen and has been left in utter ruin. Speaking with local officials, this report...
Your hands are so cold.
I'm always fascinated by your utter lack of scruple.
Well, you knew what you were getting.
The Empress will surely die, and our whole world will be utterly destroyed.
There is now no way to ignore the fact that we are completely and utterly unprepared to re-enter the world of...
Comes to the subject of me, I believe you are truly and utterly incapable of telling the truth, especially to me. And
the prison camps were, incidentally. The Turks and the Greeks are turning the place into a complete and utter bloodbath. So where, pray, in all...
I was utterly primal. I consisted of nothing more than the will to survive, to live.
And to gain his evil power. It is here that we must find him and destroy him utterly. Jack?
I almost feel pity for anything so hunted.
He never even pronounced the word Jew or concentration camp.
Throughout the next morning, until
in what I have found to be its mysterious and utterly reliable fashion, fate. Once again,
Forming hive of idiots. Their black honey choked my mouth, and I said strange words I never thought I would utter. And but for their mammoth stupidity, I should have...
Brown, Reverend Brown, I know it's the great zeal of your faith which makes you utter this prayer, but it is possible to be overzealous.